Welcome to Deal Closers with Annette, Talie, where we focus on the deals. Our guests are real estate closers who will share in detail the whole process from finding a deal to closing it, as well as strategies and tips to help you do the same. Here is your host, Annette, Talie.
Welcome to another episode of Deal Closers. I am your host, Anette, Talie, and my guest today is Andresa Guidelli. Welcome, Andresa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I am very excited to have you. Andresa is one of the creators of the InvestHER community, and I've been going to their meetups for a while here in South Florida, and they have chapters all over the country. And they are forming this amazing community for women that want to learn about investing. And I really like to go to the meetings. So let me tell you a little bit more about Andresa. She was born and raised in Brazil. She is the mother of Lorenzo, and a developer who specializes in full gut renovation projects, new construction, and is currently focusing on building medium to larger commercial developments. Andresa is the co-founder of the Real Estate InvestHER community, a platform to empower women to live financially free and balanced life. Andresa has a rental portfolio comprised of both long and short-term rentals. She is the founder of Monarch, short-term rentals, long-term relationships where she helps investors diversify their portfolio by entering the short-term rental arena. Welcome, Andresa. So how did you get into real estate investing?
So as you mentioned, I am from Brazil, so I did not even know what real estate meant at that time, right? I moved to the U.S. For a cultural exchange program, and 6 months later, I started a master's degree. And at the end of my master's degree, I did a door-to-door sales, one of the hardest things I've ever done, and really, really valuable. I recommend to everybody to do it. And in one of the conversations that I was having with my manager, I asked him, "Hey, can you share with me a book in sales, because I really want to take my team to the next level." Not that I had this dream about being a salesperson. I really needed the sales skills. That was my goal. And then he pushed across the table this purple book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And he said, "No, you're going to read this book here." And then 1 week later, I read the book and I was like, what's going on here? This entire world exists and I didn't even know about it. So who else knows more about it? And I want to explore this more. And from there, one thing led to another. I went to trainings and got more informed about how to analyze a market and then make, the purchase of the first property.
Amazing. That was one of the first books that I read about real estate. So, I'm there. Like once I read it, I was like, what? Like I need to read more. So I kept learning about it.
It's like a Bible, right? For real estate investors. It's just the mindset that is required to become a real estate investor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The Deal.
All right. So what deal are we going to be talking about today?
So I thought about different deals that, I come across different things. I'm going to talk about this deal. It was a three new construction properties that we built from ground up.
Wow.
And this is what we call shovel ready, which is a dream. Doesn't come very often. But what does this mean is that we got this deal through an architect of ours. They have an architect firm. What they did on their end, they purchased land, they subdivided, they did all the drawings, they got approved with zoning and everything else, and the project was ready to go.
So did they have the utilities already on the lots?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what shovel ready means?
Shovel ready means I'm going to close on the deal today, and tomorrow I literally putting the shovel down to the ground, and that's exactly what happened. Of course, you pay a premium for that. You pay for the work that they have done. It's not just like paying for the drawings and everything else. So you need to make sure that the numbers work very well. This was in a location where we knew exactly what was going on in the neighborhood. And we sat down with our general contractor And one thing that you can do when you are building multiple at the same time is really leverage the construction. So one house is not going to cost the same as 3 houses, right? The price is not going to be the same because the foundation is going to be 3. So the electrician is going to be working there. The
So
HVAC,
were you constructed them all at the same time?
yeah.
Okay,
It's all
so
the same
definitely.
time. So it's like a machine, right? A foundation of house number 1, house number 2, house number 3, and then framing all the rough ends. So it went like a machine. You could have, for example, if the electrician was working on house number 2, I could have already the plumber or the HVAC guy or vice versa working on the other properties. So it's just a lot of like orchestrating things and make sure everything is good to go. And because you are buying in bulk, the material also, the finishes, I negotiated everything with my supplier for my appliances because I'm buying a lot more than just one time. So you always negotiate that and get the price down.
Awesome. And I don't know if you know, but I am an architect. So I'm going to be researching
Nice.
that shovel ready.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you acquire it and do the work and get it all ready to go, we love it because we literally close on the property during our negotiations. We already knew that we wanted the deal and we want to close the deal, right? So when we start talking to the architect, I also start already talking to my general contractor and getting everything set up with the lender. That's another piece that I want to talk about. Everything was good to go. So when we close on the property, we close on a Friday, construction started on Monday.
So did you have a say on the design, or was the design already said and done?
So that's a good point because I really wanted to take a look. I respect my architects and I really love when they really explore their creativity. The point where I jump in is that sometimes the creativity affects a lot of the construction process and the money.
Cost. Yes.
So I will give you an example. I love big windows, right? I love them. They look great. On the construction point, custom windows equals higher money. So, okay, I want to have some of them, but some of them I don't want to have several of like different shapes and types. So that is something that I'm going to look at. I'm going to also look at the HVAC, if the MEPs, which is the descriptions of electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. I want to take a look at that too, because I want to maximize the space. So we had a little bit of back and forth on that, but it was very minimum. It was not on the structure or anything else. And then we had to amend any bigger thing because the drawings were already approved. So anything bigger, we had to amend it.
Right. Okay. And you don't want to go back to permits. You just want to do small revisions that are going to help you.
Well, we put on the contract that they were going to do that.
Oh, amazing. That's
Yes.
awesome. All right. So how did you find this deal? I know you mentioned that through the architect, but how did that happen?
Well, we always communicate with every single trade, right? With our title company, with our architect, with everybody knows what we're up to. So this deal came for an architect that we did business before. And he said, listen, I have a lot. They built too. So they had a lot on their pipeline. That was the reason why they were not developing it. So we're like, okay, we really want to take a look, check the numbers and see how we can work this out. And the best part of this deal is that me and my partner, which is Liz, and her husband, we all did put the deal together with zero of our money.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yep. Yeah, it was good. So on the lending part specifically, what we did is a mix of private lending with commercial lending. So in commercial, We have loans that are 75 to 80% LTV, which is loan to value, and then 100% of the construction. Of course, in order to get better rates and better terms, you got to have a background. You got to, show that you have experience with construction and everything else. So we already had a great relationship with this bank. So the process was smooth. The part that we raised, the private money, is the difference between the LTV and the down payment, closing costs, and everything else. So what we did on that deal was to raise, I believe was about $300,000 in private money, and use all the money to cover the difference between the LTV, the down payment, the commissions, or anything that was involved on closing the deal. And since we had a bank, the bank has first lien position, so our lender had second lien position. So that is not something that a lot of people feel comfortable. So to make him feel more comfortable, he also got, besides the interest on the loan, he also got part of our profit share. So that's the deal that we made with him. Yep.
Oh, amazing. That's a good way to make sure that they are on board with you when you're giving them a little bit of equity on the deal.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, you need to make sure that, there is meat on the bone for everybody. Otherwise, doesn't happen.
Definitely.
Yep.
The numbers have to work. Like, don't stretch them. They need to work in order to be able to get, because you basically are paying 100% of your cost on interest, right?
Yeah,
so the
absolutely.
deal has to work paying interest to the 100% of the loan.
Yeah.
Private and commercial.
Well, for him, we structured the deal that all the interest we are not paying up front, everything comes at the end. So there are different, things that we have done there, so we don't incur costs during our construction period.
Oh, that's very smart.
Yeah, and again, it goes back and forth into finding the right partner that is used to do that, and then is familiar with the entire process. That's the best thing. And when you find partners where each one, I am on my land, they are on their land. In our case, Matt and Liz, we had different roles. So once the property, not that I was not involved on the pre-construction because it's a lot, but once the deal is closed, is on my court and I take it to the end. So it's just a good way to leverage your experience, your funding, and time.
Amazing. So now we know how you found it, and how much was it listed for, or was it offered to you, and how much did you end up getting it for?
This was off-market deal. It was not listed on the MLS at all. I believe it was about $210,000. And we went back and forth, but there was no way that we could get it. I don't know if it was listed higher, and then we got it for $210, but at the end, we purchased it for $210. So we purchased shovel ready, was 3 lots for $210. And then we built 3 1,500 square feet houses with finished basement and a roof deck. And they pre-sold, actually. 3 of them pre-sold. We were not done with construction. They were all sold. It sold between $365 and $395 each.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
That was my next question. How much did you end up selling it for? So your exit strategy on this was to sell them.
Yeah, they were new construction in a neighborhood, an up and coming neighborhood that we knew that there was a lot of desire. So we really tailor every single thing in the construction, the design, the finishes, the exterior. We tailor to what are the buyers in that location looking for. We knew exactly who our buyers were going to be. And that's exactly what happened. Usually is a young couple that cannot afford living in Center City, closer to, we are in Philadelphia, so they can't afford that. So the goal is that they live closer to a train station that drops them off in Center City, so they don't have a car, because also parking is a nightmare in this neighborhood. So it's all like the train station was 2 blocks away from this location. This couple were, 2 roommates. Usually what they want, very high, not high-end finish, but modern finishes, nothing traditional. So on the exterior, instead of bricks, we put aluminum panels, so it looks very modern. So we did a lot of research, and during the sale process, we listed the property once sheetrock was up. So we did a pre-selling where we pick all the finishes, all the selections, all the materials, so they could visualize when we were doing open houses. They could visualize everything. And even though at that time I did have my real estate license, I didn't list them because my focus is something else. We research and interview local realtors within that area, because we really wanted to know what they bring to the table, how they're going to market it, what's their differentiation among the other ones. And I can tell you, one of them arrived late and he was off already. We didn't really care if he was good or not. It didn't matter. He was late. Did not gave us
a
warning or anything. And we thought, okay, so that's how you put yourself out there. That's not how we want to do business, and that's for us is a non-negotiable.
Right, absolutely. So how did you do this research? Because when you got this property, you knew exactly that the market was going to work with your vision. So how did you research the market?
Well, I always say that every single market analysis that I do is that I think as an appraiser, right? So I look at lot sizes, a lot price per square footage. How much do they sell it for? So I want to know if my purchase makes sense. That's one thing. And I pretend that if I were to sell those properties today, not 6 months later, not 9 months later, not a year later, if I were to sell those properties today, what is my ARV? What is my after repair value? And then I go backwards. I get my construction cost in and everything in. And does that make sense? Does that bring to me the return of my investment that I want? Does that bring the lender's return? How can I make this work? I play worst case scenario always. And if the market goes up, great. If market goes down, I still need to be able to rent those properties and pay for it. So I go both ways. But really, I don't take in consideration appreciation at all. At all. If it comes, great, it's gravy. If it doesn't, I'm still good, and my investors' money is still secure.
So do you have a percentage or a way that you evaluate a deal and you say, okay, this is too little or this is too much? How do you have like a guide on, your limits, your minimums?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it really depends, right? If I am investing my own money and $100,000, 30% return, is it good? Is it bad? But if I'm investing $500,000, 30% is good, is bad. So it depends. It depends on your investment. It depends on the time. Let's say that I am investing $100,000 and I'm getting X percentage of my return, but I'm running the entire show. Is it worth? I don't know. But if I am investing $100,000 and I have partners and my job is just to supervise once a week, whatever, that might be worth my time. Sometimes I'll use an example, right? Single family houses over here in Philadelphia, you buy for $200,000, you put $100,000 in, and the sales price is around $350,000, $400,000. That's more or less the row home over here. I'll be happy to do a commercial loan where my construction, is a lot. It's 100% funded, and I'll be happy to make 30, 40 grand. But if I have a partner, I am not moving if for 10 or 15,000, absolutely not. So if I am doing the deal myself in a very simple deal, right, a single family house, I'm looking for 30 to 40%. And if I have a partner, this amount needs to be bigger in general, right? I'm not looking for 60%. That's not it. But my time is going to be less because this partner is going to be bringing something to the table. So I will be okay with $25,000, I will say. And again, going back to the example of the single family, this doesn't apply if we're, for example, this deal, we paid 210, construction cost, let me remind myself, was around 600,000, more or less, so the numbers change very often. It really depends on who you're working with and the worth of your time.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. Yeah.
Expert tips.
So now we're going to the part of the show where you're going to share with us 3 expert tips. And today you're going to talk about your top tips dealing with contractors.
Yeah. So I always hear, right? How he or she, doesn't matter, didn't show up for the job, or he or she walked away with my money. So how can you avoid that? The first thing that I will say is vetting process. Go to their job site, not yours at first. You will see if they arrive on time, how are they running their project, if it is clean, if the crew is there working, or if there's nobody working there in the middle of the day. I never meet them during lunchtime because I want to see the crew. So I meet either in the middle of the morning or in the middle of the afternoon. That's my tip number 1. Tip number 2 is if you're getting prices like totally off from one contractor to another, 2 reasons for that. You didn't give him or her a clear scope of work of the work that you need to do. So you need to be clear on that. And also finishes. Select all your finishes. I mean, I want this toilet that you buy over here. This is the brand. This is the color. This is the link. This is a picture. There's no way that he or she is going to look at some other types of finishes because that's the finish that you want to look. And the third thing is you always want to be ahead of the money during the payment plan. What do I mean by that? First of all, you want to work with somebody that has capital, that is running the construction business as a business, meaning they don't need to wait for your payment in order to start the next phase of the construction. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and then people want, I need half of front and then to continue. That's really a red flag for me. I want to make sure that the project is continue and the payment that I made is towards progress payment. What does that really mean is I'm going to make a payment on things that were already executed, not that will be executed. I'll give you an example. Windows, $4,000, $5,000, let's say. If I arrive at the job site and the windows are not installed, it means it's not complete. Therefore, there's no payment. It's simple as that. So I always work as if I do have a lender. If I'm paying cash, doesn't matter. Meaning I do the inspection first and then release the funds based on that. And that is something that you don't want to discuss with your contractor in the middle of the project. You want to discuss this entire process prior of even signing a contract. And that will save you a lot of time, money, and hair.
Absolutely. That's great advice. As a commercial architect, we do that all the time. We have to review the payments the contractor progress and advise the owners that yes, they finished it or they didn't finish it, or what's the percentage that they completed so far. And then once we sign it, we send it, and then they release the funds.
Yeah.
So if you're working with a contractor that is professional, they are going to be doing the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's how it should be. And if somebody is like, oh, that's not how I work, that's fine. So we are not going to match.
Right. Do you review their contract as well, even before?
They sign my contract.
Oh, you have your own contract.
Yes. And if they want to modify, that's fine. They go through their attorney, and then my attorney reviews it too. But it's my contract, not theirs. That's a good point.
That's the best way to control the transaction, right? Because you're going to have your rules, and they are going to have to follow your rules.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have any horror stories with a contractor, and that's why you put these steps, or you just did it from the beginning?
No, all my life has been great. No. No, I had several situations. One of them, it was a contractor that I was working with him for the first time, and they were doing a roof deck, and they're like, listen, we really need about $15,000 to get this deck done. And I was like, you know that I don't do up front. He's like, I get it. I knew he was a vet. And I assume, okay, he's a vet. Come on, right? He went to war and he's not going to do anything. And I wrote that check. And I never saw him ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. However, I keep track of every single thing, right? Every single thing. So I hunt him down, his company down. 1 year later, I was able to get my money back with interest and everything. It was $21,000 at that time that I got back, but I did get back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's just, it's very frustrating. And now you need to take the $15,000 from somewhere else to put into that. So the vetting process and like the contract and everything else, and the excuses, their truck is going to break. Somebody in their family is going to be sick. They killed the grandma like 5 times, more or less.
I had the family being sick once, and I gave them the money, and he disappeared at some point and never saw him back. But he left the tools.
Oh, there we go.
So I was like, okay, the tools are staying until you come back and pay.
Yes, absolutely.
Finish the work or get somebody to finish it. And
right.
He actually never came back. He just bought the tools.
There was one contractor of mine that he's like, hey, I'm not going to come on Fridays, my son's first birthday. And I look at him, I was like, wasn't your son's first birthday last month? I think you used the same excuse twice.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Yeah, you gotta check on them for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And there's, I always blame all my company's policies. I'm so sorry. It's my company's policies and procedures and my, my board advisory, which is my dog right here. So she doesn't allow me to do that. Sorry.
That's a great way to put it. Like when I do property management, I'm like, let me ask the owner. It's my property. Let me ask the owner.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine.
Andresa, this was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us so much knowledge. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope it was valuable to all of you that listen, and I hope to meet you in person one day.
Absolutely. And tell us, where can people find you? I know you have a website and social media.
Yes. So you can find more about our podcast called the Real Estate InvestHER. And our website, same name. On our Instagram, same name. So we have a podcast, we have a Facebook group community with really experienced investors part of it, and that's free. And we have meetups across the country. We have right now 26 or 27 groups, and we are growing across the country. So if you're listening check it out on meetup.com/InvestHER. And we're coming up with a membership. So we want to give more support to women out there and offer mentorship, accountability to all of you. So check it out pretty soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This was Deal Closers with Anette Talie, brought to you by Talie Investments. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Our goal is to provide amazing value on your real estate journey. Connect online at www.talieinvestments.com, where you can find this episode and more. Did you like this episode? Subscribe, like, and share.